and I have Parkinson's. Welcome to Try It Thursday. I'm excited about today's. I have never made my own Donair meat. We've had Donairs lots of times when we lived on the East Coast especially, but my husband loves Donairs and we have never made the meat ourselves. We have always either bought Donair meat or just bought the Donairs. So this is going to be something very interesting for me. So, first of all, I was very surprised that it was made with ground meat. But anyway, that's what it's made with. It's made with ground beef. So I'm going to just put, now there's part of it, you can do it by hand. You can do it by mixer with dough hooks. I'm doing both. I'm going to start with this because I can't do it all by hand because I just don't have the strength in my arms to do that. But Bill's enjoying the movie over there. You might hear him laugh. He's watching a Walt Disney movie. Okay, there's one. And so I thought, well, I'm going to start by using the Mix Master here, and then I will change over to the hand doing it. Now, I've got a few tips from my son because he has made his own Donair meat, but he makes it so that he can make Donair pizzas. So, now what we're trying to do here, first of all, you want to buy as fatty a hamburger as you can find. I was looking for regular and I couldn't find it, so I got medium. But you do not want to buy lean. You want to have the fat content in there. And what we're trying to do is we are going to break down the stringy parts of your meat, and we're going to try and make it as pasty and pureed as we can using our hands or a Mix Master. So, and today it's a long process to make the Donairs. So I'm going to be doing a lot of it off camera just because it would be very boring for you to watch me just sit here and mix and mix and mix. Oh, I should tell you about the spices. So I'm going to start mixing this. I have pre-mixed the spices that I'm going to add in here. I have 2 pounds of ground beef. I have 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. They say if you have ground oregano, it's best. I didn't. I had oregano leaves, so I took them and I put them into my little mini chop, pureed them up as best as I could so I could make them more ground. And then it's optional, 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon depending what you want. I don't have any cayenne pepper and I don't like heat necessarily, so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to mix that in with the meat, and then I'm going to get it all mixed together. So like I say, I'm going to be doing a lot of it off camera, but I have to get started here early in the day because it takes 2 hours to cook, and I've got to make sauce, and I've got to make the buns up, and so there's quite a few things. It's a step, but if we like it, I will go ahead another day and make up 2 or 3 loaves of this and just keep it on my freezer list, and then I can just bring it out and don't have to make it every time. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump all those spices in there like that. I'm going to start mixing it, and I'll turn you off, and I'll bring you back when I'm at the point of doing the hand part of it. So I'll show you how I'm going to do this. If you had a big KitchenAid machine, that would be really good for doing this, but I don't, so. So you get the idea. I'm just going to keep doing that for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've gone for the 5 minutes now. So I want to show you what's happening to this meat. It is, I'm going to bring it up to you. Okay. The texture of this meat is starting to change. It's not looking like all the little stringy parts in it. It's starting to look more like a glumped up, mashy mess. So I'm going to keep doing it, but I want to tell you a little story while I'm doing it, okay? So I'm going to beat for just a second, and I'm going to tell you a story. My little Mix Master here also has to be cooled down after 5 minutes usually, because it's working very hard. So, okay, I'm going to give this a little bit of a break, and I'm going to tell you a story while I'm having the break. So I'll just set that there. Okay, when Claudine was younger, she was about 7 years old. Bill had a friend named Danny who was a waiter at a pretty nice little restaurant. It's called the Portofino, and it was quite a nice little restaurant. So Bill decided that he was going to take Claudine, and they were going to have a daddy-daughter day. So they went to the Portofino, and he said, no, this is a fancy restaurant, whatnot. And of course, he knew Danny was on. So Danny came over, and so he said to Danny, he says, I think we're going to be adventurous, he says, and I think we'll start with escargot. And of course, Claudine looks at him and says, what's that? And he says, oh, it's snails. And she said, I'm not eating snails. And he says, no, it's really, really good. You know, Bill says it's really, really good. And then she goes, you're just pulling my leg. And he says, no, I'm not. So she wouldn't believe him. So he says to Danny, he called Danny over and he says, Danny, can you explain to Claudine what escargot is? And Danny says, well, it's got like a garlic butter sauce, and the meat is sitting in it, and you bring your little fork and you pull it out of the shell. And she goes, out of the shell? And he goes, yeah, it's snails, honey. And she goes, I'm not eating snails. Anyway, she would not try the escargot, but she could not believe that anybody would eat snails. I don't know if she's ever tried them as an adult, but anyway, I prefer just to have bread dipped in that garlic butter. All right, I'm going to let this cool down, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm finished with the mixer. So now the next part is going to be done by hand, and you're going to think I've lost my mind, but this is what they do. I promise you, this is what they do. So I take this out just like it was dough. And I want to just form it into a ball. It's okay if it sticks to the paper because I can take it up after. Now I have to throw it down at the paper over and over. I have to do it 20 times, okay? Okay, you get the idea. I don't want to bore you with that. I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've had my workout for the day. Now I'm going to form this into a log. It has completely changed textures. It is now smooth, and I just want to make it a log. And I'm going to put it on a pan. Now what I've done with my pan is parchment lined with a cookie rack on top so that the grease can drip through. And I'm going to put it in the oven. Let me just get the temperature for you. 350 for 2 hours. So you might as well go get a coffee. I'll be 2 hours before I'm back. Okay, I'm back. It's not 2 hours later. I didn't realize I was just looking over my recipe, and while that cooks for 2 hours, I have a sauce that has to cool for 2 hours. So I'm going to do the sauce. I also forgot to mention that I just loosely put a piece of tin foil over that loaf that I put in the oven. An hour into it, halfway through, I'm going to flip it over and take the foil off. Now, the Donair sauce, there's two ways of doing it. Oh, I left something on the counter here. There's two ways of doing this sauce. You can either use evaporated milk and add sugar to it to sweeten it with the vinegar and the garlic, or you can use the sweetened condensed milk, no sugar, add the vinegar and the garlic to thin this down. So I'm going to do it with the sweetened condensed milk because that's what I have. Now when my son made his, he did it with the evaporated milk, and he said it was very good. So this will give us a chance to compare to what he had done. But you see, there's a bunch of little steps like this, but this sauce will also keep in the refrigerator for a while. So, and they said that when you go to put the vinegar in, you don't want to just dump it all in. You want to put it in a little bit at a time. So I'll put the garlic in first. Okay, now I'm just going to put a little bit in and mix that. because they said, ironically, when you're doing this, we're doing it to thin it out, but the vinegar is also going to serve the purpose in the evaporated milk to thicken it up. So it's kind of strange how one thickens and thins, and yet they're both vinegar. But that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. Oh, this smells really good. Kind of reminds me of the salad dressing that we used to call Oves, which was oil, vinegar, and sugar. And this sort of smells like that. All right. So that's all in there like that. So now I've got a little glass container here with a lid. So I'm going to store it in the glass container instead of storing it in plastic. This is the part I find very hard, is emptying things out like this. All right, so let's put the lid on this. I had to go and get new containers that have these type of snap down lids, because the ones that you go on and you pull up, I can't do them anymore. I can't get them off. Like even when I buy sour cream or something, I have to get Bill to take the lid off. I can't do that. So I've got myself some of these. These are glass ones, but I've got some plastic ones too, and I can at least take the lids off of those. So, all right, that's cooking. This is cooling. We'll be back. Okay, I'm back. This is, I'm set up now to make the actual, oh, I haven't got the sauce. I'll get that in a minute. This is what the Donair loaf has looked like. It's completely changed. So now, see, I'm going to move you a little bit so you can see more what I'm doing here. See, how's that? Yeah, you got a little bit more there. All right. So, it says, now I've never made these. I've just had them, but I've never made them. So it says cut a little tiny bit off of the end. So there it is, cut off the end. Actually, I want to hold this up for you to see the texture of that, because that is completely different than hamburger. Can you see that? That's, oh, well, it's on the floor now. Anyway, I'll look at that in a minute. So now it says to put it up in the end. Now, if you're in a Donair restaurant, this would be bigger and on a spit, okay? So it would be turning around and they cut it off of that. So now, I'm not good at cutting meat, so, and you're supposed to take it, oh, this is a better idea to show you this one. Look, this shows it better. The texture of this is completely different. You see, that's completely different. Now, if I was good at cutting meat, I'd be able to do this, but it says shave it as thin as you can. So I'm just gonna do this. Now what I'm doing right now, Claudine has taken, she got an appointment, so she took her dad and dropped him at one of the malls. So this isn't cutting for me. Dropped him at one of the malls so that he could have some time out. But I was worried that he was gonna get very tired, because when you're in a walker, it's very tiring. So I said to him, take Belle. So he's got Belle with him, and it's like I've let my baby go. Now we're going to save and get him a scooter as well, but I tell you, he started her up today, and what did he do first off? Nearly backed into the wall behind me. Then he got forward and nearly ran into this. Didn't hit them, but came really close. And I said to him, I said, listen, you got to turn that speed down. I said, you'll run into people if you're in the mall. Okay, I'm going to cut one more slice here, and then I'm going to show you how to assemble one. But I have to do a very strange process first. I'm going to turn you on to pause while I go do it. No, I'll just leave it like that. Okay, because what I have to do with the pita, we want to soften it a little. So as strange as it sounds, I've got the pita bread. I'm going to run it under the tap, and I'm going to put it in a fry pan and steam it for a couple seconds so that it'll soften it a little bit. and then I'll get the sauce and be back to assemble. Okay, I'm back. Now, now let's see. I gotta make sure that you can see what I'm doing here. So, I'm going to okay. What we have to do is we have to put a piece of tin foil down. Yes. So we're going to put a piece of tin foil down and put our pita bread on the tin foil. Then we're going to go with a little bit of sauce. Just a stir. Now it's up to you how much sauce you put on. And then I'm going to put some of the Donair meat. And you don't want to be chintzy with it, you know. It's nice to have a nice serving of meat on there. All right. I think the girls are going to like this. I hope Claudine comes up when she brings Bill home. Okay, now traditionally it's onions, lettuce, and tomato. All right. And then we take our pita and we go like this, and now we want to wrap this bottom part up so that when we go to eat it, we will peel back the top. We'll peel back the top and just eat it like this. So I'm going to wrap it up with another piece of foil so that it travels to Claudine's house. Now here's the second one. And I'm going to put some sauce. Now Bill loves a lot of sauce. I do not. I actually prefer to have mine on a pizza, or I prefer to have it just as a salad. I love it just as a salad. All right, so, and Bill loves Donairs. So I hope he likes this one, because if he likes this one, then we're going to be able to please him. And that's what I aim to do. All right, now I really loaded this one up. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of lettuce and onion. And I think what I'll do is I'll send a little extra sauce with them, so in case they want more sauce, they can add it at their house. So, and then I'm going to roll this like this. Okay, put this end up and over. And I'm going to taste a little bite of that meat just so that I can tell you if it's good or not. And I'll wrap that up a little bit better. So let me just bring this down and let me slice off just a tiny little piece so I can try it. Okay. All right, there we are. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's good. That's some good donair. Okay, I'm gonna get a clean spoon for everybody else. I'm just going to take a taste of the sauce. Not as fresh as the sauce. The sauce tastes a little too garlicky. Next time I think I'll try it with the evaporated milk. But anyway, that's it. I think Try It Thursday was a success. Have a good night. We'll see you all tomorrow.